Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Adebola Adedugba. The top stories are this hour. Communities continue to accuse security operatives of killing residents during End Bad Governance protests. Kagame sworn in as Rwanda's president for fourth term after landslide victory. Uganda death toll rises to 14 in Kampala landslide. And details shortly. News now begins with updates on End Bad Governance protest, where residents of Gaskia Danmagaji area of Zaria in Kaduna State have accused security operatives of shooting indiscriminately and killing some youths in their community while enforcing the 24-hour curfew imposed on the city a few days ago. The residents told News Central Television crew that army personnel killed 2 youths in the community. They called for an explanation from the Nigerian Army. The General Officer Commanding Division of 1 of Nigerian Army, however, promised to investigate the allegations and present his findings soon.
Saboda ma'aikata su suke zuwa su kore mutane akan hanya a ce ba za a tare hanya ba za a toshe hanya ba, wani hadda tiya gas, wani ma da harbi, an harba jama'a da dama dai an kakkashe su wanda ba su da galihu. Ko da ce ko kana da galihun ma bai da amfani a Najeriya, inda kai ba wani kusa, babanka ba wani kusa bane a Najeriya. Mu yanzu talakawan Najeriya ba mu da wani yanci.
Magana harbi kuma da aka yi harbi, yanzu magana da ake akwai matan da bata je bata gani ba. Yanzu tana nan a cikin, ta fito daki kawai sai a sashi shiga mata kafa, yanzu tana nan a kwance.
Na zamu ganta.
Tana nan cikin agogera ga nan tana nan abin nan. Zan kai ku har inda take je ku abin da ita. An harbe ta.
We will have our correspondent Emanuel Bodo join us for more context on that news. Moving on, our former presidential candidate Peter Obi has expressed his deepest condolences to the families of those who lost their lives during the recent End Bad Governance protest. In a statement released on X.com on Sunday, Obi mourned the loss of lives, including security personnel who died during the demonstrations. He also wished a speedy recovery to those injured during the protest and assured them their sacrifice would not be forgotten. Meanwhile, parents of victims of the End Bad Governance protests in some states have appealed for the prosecution of security operatives who shot at protesters during the demonstrations in the state. Earlier, we were joined on the news by Samuel Olukade, a legal practitioner.
The use of weapons under any guise does not have a place in protest, in any form of protest in the 21st century, provided the protest is said to be peaceful. I mean, weapons should not have, weapons under any guise should not have a place. Everybody knows that the security operatives take orders from the government of the day. So we are, I mean, like in my own area, we had instances where protesters were arrested. I mean, protesters were arrested, indiscriminate force were used on protesters, and we had reasons to engage the security operatives, and they told us that their hands were tied because the order to arrest and violate the rights of these protesters came from above. That is on the one hand. There is also the problem of the leadership of the security operatives, the rank and file of the security operatives, in the sense that, first, the rank and file of the security operatives are Nigerians before they are security operatives. So one would expect that as reasonable Nigerians, they are expected to identify with the masses once these protests begin. And in the spirit of being reasonable, I would expect that even if the authorities or their bosses expect them to use unreasonable force on protesters, they are expected to restrain themselves from the use of this force. Of course, we've had good reports of security operatives like the ones in Edo State that had reasons to even distribute water to the protesters in a bid to show that they were with them. Those are good reports.
Youth group on the Plateau have restated their commitment to peaceful coexistence in the state. In a press conference in Jos, the coalition of Plateau youth said that despite political, religious, ethnic and socio-cultural divides, all hands need be on deck to ensure a more civil and organized state.
Should be the last day of #End Bad Governance in Nigeria in all states of the Federation. Unfortunately, the peaceful protest in some states turned violent, causing an abrupt end of the exercise. Plateau is among these states that had the fair share of this violent protest, which was welcomed with a 24-hour curfew, though continuously reviewed downwards from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. now. With business returning to normal now, residents who spoke to News Central off camera said they will not turn out for a continuation of the protest in the interest of peace and safety of both lives and property. The coalition of Plateau Youth Movement, during a press briefing in Jos, joined their voice to the call for a better Plateau state.
We don't want the protests that will rock the peaceful coexistence of Plateau states. That is why most of us have written and have called out that we are against the protest. Any peaceful protest, it snowballs to destruction of lives and properties. As you can see, it was peaceful, first, second day. But afterwards, some miscreants took advantage and want to tarnish the image of the state. And today I have made it categorical here that as lawful as we are, we should not indulge in what will destroy the entity and sanctity of the state.
In another development pertaining to the protest, the Plateau State Independent Electoral Commission say new dates of activities for the local council elections in the state will be announced soon.
These adjustments ensure that the election process continues smoothly while maintaining the integrity and fairness of the electoral system. PLASEC remains fully committed to ensuring that all political parties can participate in the elections without any disadvantage. We want to reassure the public and all stakeholders that the rescheduling will not affect fairness or transparency of the election process. Our focus is on providing a level playing field and equitable opportunity for all political parties involved. We appreciate the understanding and cooperation of all political parties, aspirants, and voters as we navigate these changes. PLASEC will continue to provide updates and further information as necessary to ensure a smooth and effective election process.
It is hoped that with these measures put in place, Plateau will wear a better face with its normal activities sooner than later. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyuwi.
Joining me on the news to dissect this is Chi Chipakim, civil society activist. Good evening, glad to have you join me.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
All right, let me kick off by first asking you, what's the inspiration behind the renewed vigor for peace in Plateau State? And I say this because aside the declaration, we saw how the End Bad Governance protest went in Plateau, and largely it was dubbed as peaceful. So what's the inspiration behind this commitment to peace?
Okay, over the years, the stories that have come out of Plateau State have been that of 10 people killed, 100 people killed, and young people feel that it is enough. Over the years, people have been divided along religious lines, where you could be killed because of your dress sense. You could be assumed to be a Muslim or Christian. So people are now saying we've learned from the past. Politicians have taken advantage of us. So now we're coming under one front. Poverty does not know religion, neither does it know ethnicity. So let us take advantage of this and live in peace. And that is why beyond just the protest ground, which is at Old Airport, we can say that the protest itself, even across the places, was like 90-something% free of violence, if not for some skirmishes that happened. After what even the protesters say, it is a provocative statement that was made at a restaurant that they have seen as an elite restaurant. So beyond that, they were just moving about and not burning anything, which for me, it is a way forward that we've made.
Now, aside just declaring a peace mantra, what other ways do you feel that youths can exemplify or even demonstrate peace in Plateau State?
Okay, it's just by accommodating the fact that we are all victims of the same situation, that people are able to now understand that our religious differences should not be a cause of violence. People should tolerate each other very deeply. Now, why I'm trying to even be a bit skeptical about what I'm saying is because even when you ask the young people what has been the cause of the conflict on the plateau, they cannot really lay their hands on it. But they could just tell you that, oh, it could be politicians that are using us and all whatnot. So over the years, that has been the narrative, and things have practically, with the renewed reality of both Muslims and Christians being victims of the same thing, poverty is everywhere. They are beginning to see that, come on, there's no reason why we should fight. There's no reason why we should burn places. We have learned from the answers, the looting and everything, and people are saying no. This is not the plateau that we want. So now people are more organized, and that is why even on the protest ground, some of us came out to say we need to manage this protest ground so that it doesn't turn out to be like the answers protest and every other aftermath of the protest. So the strategies were put on ground to ensure that everybody behaves himself while on the protest ground and even while going home. Some of them were escorted back to their homes. These are ways that people realized, displayed that they were quite happy. We also said that you needed not to come to protest ground with a stick or any other thing that is harmful. Just come to protest ground with yourself. Even people who had leaves, we collected the leaves from them and said, no, this is not riot. Yes. In normal protests, people could carry leaves and all whatnot to show disagreement. But this one, we call it peaceful protest. And that is why even on the protest ground, people are able to pray. They created a space for people to pray, both Muslims and Christians. So for us, we needed to show that there's a renewed hope for us, not within the balance of the political sense, but more or less like a new plateau that we're trying to rebuild. So that we can forge ahead as a common citizen of this particular state.
Okay, just very quickly, because we're pressed for time, staying on your thought process of renewed reality for peace, we all know that in as much as we strive or aspire for a peaceful coexistence, certain factors may just be the clog in the wheel. What would you like to see addressed to help you and, of course, the youths in Plateau State achieve a completely peaceful state?
Okay, we need to see, one, government attention to Plateau youths, deliberate interventions that bring, one, to empower the young people, two, bring these young people along those conflict fault lines, whether it is ethnicity or religion. Okay, we also need to see more of the peace work being done that are also youth focused. Over the years, you get to see peace work being done, but little of it is being done with young people. So we need to see more of this work being done with young people being empowered and young people being encouraged to work together, supported by government to see that they achieve their common dreams.
All right, thank you so much indeed. We hope peace will be long-lasting in Plateau State. Many thanks for your insight on the news. Chi Chipakim, civil society activist, thank you for your time. I recall earlier we brought to you news regarding residents in Kaduna State accusing security operatives of shooting indiscriminately at protesters during the 10 days End Bad Governance protest. And now we're joined by our correspondent, Emanuel Bodo, to give us insight into that news. Emanuel, it's good to have you join me on the news. What's the update?
Yeah, of course. Good evening here from Kaduna. Yeah, the update is that any moment from now, we expect that the Kaduna State government is going to relax the restriction of movement, which is from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Of course, Zaria, we were in Zaria yesterday, where we got a lot of disturbing videos, which we're still investigating. We had a session with the media team of the GOC this evening. And of course, they promised they're going to get back to us after they carry out a lot of investigation of what we found out in Zaria.
Okay, you talked about a disturbing video yesterday. Just refresh our minds for those who were not able to get details of that, news. What happened yesterday?
Yes, just about pockets of accusations, allegations against security operatives with specific reference to the officers and men of the Nigerian Army. Of course, you saw the video we shared about that grandmother, Balaraba Usmanu, at number 88, Angon Fatika, in Gaskiadabagaji, Usasa area of Zaria. Of course, you saw the live bullet we showed in that video that was removed from her leg. Then, of course, we went to Alpha Hospital, where we saw a young man who was also shot, allegedly shot. Then, of course, we went to another family who actually claimed that their son was allegedly shot too. He died. We also met another family who claimed that their son was running away from the police and was forced to jump down from the Usasa bridge, and then that was where he lost his life. So all these things are allegations and subject to investigation by appropriate and relevant authorities. And then when that is ready, we're going to play our story and make sure that everything is balanced. But by and large, everything is going well in Kaduna, and the residents of Kaduna are expecting that the restriction of movement, which is from, of course, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., it will soon be relaxed.
Permit me to follow up on the 16-year-old boy who died as a result of stray bullets and whose family were given some sum of money. How is that playing out?
Yes, we had that in an interview with Mohammed Husseini, the father of Ismail Mohammed, who clearly told us that he wasn't given any money, he wasn't given any compensation. The money that was given to Mohammed Husseini, that's the father of late Ismail Husseini, who was allegedly shot by the army, was just a personal gift from the GOC. The GOC said he only gave him that money just for him to just buy some water in our local parlance. Buy some water and take care of people who are coming to pay condolences. But it's not the kind of compensation. It's not a compensation. He made it clear to you that it's not a compensation at all.
Okay, one final question, before I let you go, Emanuel Bodo. Following accusations of residents in Kaduna State to security operatives on how they shot during the 10 days End Bad Governance protest, what do you perceive in terms of disposition of security officers in Kaduna State?
Yes, what I'm perceiving is the fact that there are a lot of issues that are underreported, and in fact unreported. So there are a lot of media. The media has a lot of work to do. Human rights organizations have a lot to do after. By the time a lot of things begin to unravel. Because what we saw personally for going to Zaria, to go around Zaria, then Gaskiadamagaji, Samaru, Basawa went round. I mean, the story we heard, they are so appalling, subject to, to investigation and confirmation by proper authorities. So we're going to be working on that, and then of course, security operatives are certainly going to be on standby to answer a lot of questions. A lot of questions. So, like I said, we had a session with the media team of the General Officer Commanding Division 1 Kaduna, and they promised they are going to give us details as soon as it's ready.
Well, indeed, we hope investigations are carried out as soon as possible, and then justice serve, indeed. Thank you so much, Emanuel Bodo, reporting live from Kaduna State. Many thanks, Emanuel.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're live with News Central TV. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. In a significant development aimed at enhancing operational efficiency, the Nigerian Army has inaugurated a new theater training school and upgraded an existing one at the Mai Malari military cantonment in Maiduguri. Major General Waidi Shuaibu, Theater Commander, Northeast JTF Operation Hadankai, says The facilities are expected to play a crucial role in advancing the combat skills of troops. News Central's Umaru Kirawa throws more light.
A graduation ceremony of these soldiers whose capabilities have been enhanced in response to evolving security challenges. To further bolster the morale of soldiers and future trainees, the Nigerian Army thought it wise to upgrade its training school and establish a new one.
The commissioning of this new training school represents a major investment in the future of Northeast Joint Task Force operations, with the sole aim of returning normalcy to the Northeast Theater of Operation. It is a testament that Theater Command is committed to providing our personnel with the best possible training facilities in line with the strategic guidance of the Chief of Army Staff. Let me at this point express my profound appreciation and gratitude to the Chief of Army Staff who made this project possible.
The new school will provide enhanced training in counterinsurgency operations, crucial for the ongoing fight against Boko Haram.
And why I urge you to maintain the highest standards of professionalism and integrity in everything we do. Let us commit to upholding the values as we strive for excellence and integrity in our training, in our service, and in our lives. The challenges we face in our training are not obstacles, but stepping stones for greater proficiency and preparedness.
The renovated facility now features a conducive learning environment and resources designed to better prepare soldiers for the complexities of modern warfare.
We did the trainers course, whereby some of these troops that were trained this morning will go back to their various units and formations to continue training others, because constantly there's in-theater training in preparing the troops for what they are achieving. So I believe it will impact positively on their output in the field.
The establishment of the new facility and the enhancement of the existing training center will not only improve the tactical and strategic skills of Army personnel, but provides a pathway for ending the age-old security concerns in the region. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
ActionAid Nigeria has urged the federal government to reinstate fuel subsidies to protect vulnerable Nigerians from the effect of rising inflation and hardship currently being witnessed. While assessing the state of the nation, the group expressed concerns over the economic policies of the current regime, saying that it has not helped the informal sector of the economy. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, tells us more.
According to a June 2024 report by Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics, within the last 1 year, Nigeria has witnessed high record inflation, with the cost of foodstuff hitting about 40.87%, and the devaluation of the naira eroding the purchasing power of many citizens. Given the dire situation, which has forced more hardship on low-income households in the country, stakeholders have called on the federal and state governments to implement programs aimed at protecting vulnerable citizens, especially reversing the removal of fuel subsidy.
Urgently implement targeted social safety programs and subsidies to protect the most vulnerable populations from the devastating effects of inflation. This includes reinstating fuel subsidies to ease economic burdens on low-income households and small businesses.
While acknowledging efforts by the government to increase the minimum wage of workers, they urged all state governments to ensure compliance and prioritize the use of public funds for essential services.
Nigerian workers cannot continue to live on meager wages while lawmakers and certain public officers take home unreasonable and humongous salaries and allowances. In the face of the current economic and financial crisis, prudent financial management practices must be adopted.
With the recent Supreme Court judgment mandating the direct release of funds to local governments, they called for effective monitoring to ensure local government resources are efficiently used. They also urged other stakeholders to support efforts to reduce poverty in the country.
Overarching thing is to ensure that we're able to contribute to lifting 5 million people out of poverty.
If you have 20 organizations doing what ActionAid is doing, we will definitely eradicate poverty. We'll definitely eradicate poverty or get 100 million persons out of poverty in Nigeria in the next 10 years.
The ActionAid Nigeria also demands substantial improvement in security measures and intelligence gathering to combat kidnappings and terrorism in the country. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
The SocioEconomic Rights and Accountability Project has called on President Bola Tinubu to launch investigation into the $1.5 billion World Bank loan obtained by 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. In an open letter signed by Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, SERAP also urged President Tinubu to probe the alleged mismanagement of $3.12 billion in Chinese loans acquired by the federal government. SERAP requested that the President direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, along with relevant anti-corruption agencies, to promptly and thoroughly investigate how these loans were utilized, particularly in efforts to reduce poverty and enhance social protection across the state. The organizations emphasized that any individuals or agencies found to have engaged in corruption or mismanagement should face prosecution if sufficient evidence is found, and any process of corruption should be fully recovered. A group of national leaders known as the Patriots, led by Chief Emeka Yogo, a former Secretary General of the Commonwealth of Nations, met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the State House on Friday. According to reports, the meeting was centered around the growing concerns of instability and insecurity in Nigeria, exacerbated by political mistrust, national incohesion, and severe economic challenges. In light of the just concluded 10-day nationwide hunger protest, the delegation urged President Tinubu to direct his government to engage in dialogue with protest leaders to understand their demands and work towards a resolution. Earlier, we were joined on the news by Elvis Akpobi, Executive Director, Not Too Young to Lead Initiative.
People the leaders need to engage with, and for the very first time we see young people came together. There was an identity for young people, irrespective of tribe, social strata and all that. They came together and they shattered the common fault, and we saw leaders moving from pillar to post just to, make things happen. But my only fear is that they are not working towards solving the problems. They're just solving optics and not substance of the problem. So for me, I think when things like they subsidize rice, those are not sustainable. I saw a very uninspiring news not too long about that the federal government has disbursed 4.3 to the most least vulnerable, 4.3 billion to the least vulnerable people in Nigeria. Those are not sustainable. Make policies that will make Nigeria better.
As the world advances technologically, particularly in agriculture, genetically modified organisms, GMO, are becoming more common in our food supply. But some reports have suggested that there are dangers associated with GMO foods. In this report, News Central's Bettina Onwele looks at these dangers and how Nigeria can navigate the challenges they present.
Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, are plants or animals whose genetic makeup has been altered through biotechnology to enhance desirable traits, such as resistance to pests or improved nutritional content. While GMOs offer potential benefits, they also come with concerns that need careful consideration.
The tests that are usually done by governments, by agencies that are promoting GMOs, don't last more than 90 days. And people are not going to eat GMOs for only 90 days and they say, okay, we've done it this fine. You could take something, eat or drink a particular thing, it would take years before the impact will begin to show. This very reason is why, like in Nigerian law and in many other GMO laws, they don't include strict liability.
One primary concern is the potential health risks. Critics argue that GMOs could trigger allergic reactions or other health issues. While many studies suggest GMOs are safe, public skepticism remains.
So, if they're so convinced, like we hear the Nigerian Biosafety Management Agency always say the GMOs we approve as safe. The GMOs we approve as safe. There is no reason to take them on their word. Let them prove it. Let them bring the risk assessment and publish it. Some scientists have done tests that last more than 90 days, and they've been blackmailed and pressured. So the truth is that there's no consensus globally about the safety or otherwise of GMOs.
As Nigeria continues to navigate the complexities of GMO food consumption, it is important to approach these innovations with caution and a commitment to safety. This includes transparent labeling and information on the benefits and risks. Secondly, ensuring that GMOs are tested thoroughly for safety and environmental impact before they enter the market, as well as supporting farmers with training and resources can help them make informed decisions about adopting the GMO technology. By balancing progress with prudent measures, Nigeria can make informed choices that benefit both its people and its environment. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
You're watching News Central now. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has been sworn in for a fourth term after a landslide victory in last month's elections. The ceremony was attended by dozens of African heads of state and dignitaries at a packed stadium in Kigali. President Kagame took the oath of office, pledging to preserve peace and national sovereignty. He won the election with an overwhelming 99.18% of the vote, according to the National Electoral Commission. Rights activists have criticized the lack of democracy in the country, with only 2 candidates authorized to run against him. The Democratic Green Party leader, Frank Habineza, came in second with just 0.5% of the vote, while independent candidate Felipe Mpayimana received 0.32%. The death toll from devastating garbage landslide in Kampala, Uganda, has risen to 12, now by reports as 14, according to police. The disaster occurred on Saturday at a massive landfill in Kitsezi, where heavy rainfall caused a collapse engulfing homes, people, and livestock under mountains of rubbish. Rescue efforts are ongoing, with 14 people rescued alive so far, and several animals, including a dog, have also been saved. However, concerns are growing as approximately 1,000 people are estimated to have been displaced. The Kampala Capital City Authority had initially reported 8 deaths, including 2 children, but the latest update from the police put the death toll at 14. The site has been described as a disaster waiting to happen, with health risks and safety concerns raised earlier this year by Kampala's mayor, Arias Lukwago. The history of China, which dates back to over 2,000 years, would be incomplete without the mention of some invasions, which underscores the country's emergence to greatness. Now, China has successfully transformed the relics of those incidents into huge attraction for visitors and citizens alike. This next report takes us to the Forbidden City and the Great Wall of China.
On a bright Friday morning in the month of August, thousands of visitors trooped down this path. The destination is the ancient city called Forbidden. It is located in the center of the imperial city of Beijing. students and other holiday makers determined to savor what makes this place revered for centuries. This city was built within 14 years, between 1406 and 1420. It sits on a 72-hectare space and is surrounded by a 9.9-meter wall. There are over 900 rooms here. From the reign of Emperor Chu Di, who built the city, commoners were not allowed freely in there. Key element of that era is that the emperor's power could not be challenged. These contributed in giving the forbidden title to the city.
Forbidden City suffered so much in history. Now, first time in 1860, Anglo and French Allied force invaded China. They launched the Second Opium War. Forbidden City was burned by fire. Okay, almost all the treasures were robbed by them. So if you like to watch Chinese treasures, I recommend you go to British Museum. There are so much. Okay, Chinese vision.
After some invasions in the 17th century, successive leadership in the country ensured the preservation of the city as a reminder for the future generations of where they are coming from. Getting information from officials here was difficult due to language barrier, but it was gathered that during holidays like the summer, the city receives hundreds of thousands of visitors daily, and even the light midday shower was not enough to deter them. At the other end of Beijing city stands the Great Wall of China, listed as one of the wonders of the world. The over 21-kilometer wall was constructed in 7th century BC. It stretches along the ancient northern border as a means of protecting the territory from rampaging nomadic groups. The most popular parts of the wall were built between 1368 and 1644. More than 2,000 years after the building of the wall started, the Chinese have not forgotten how much the wall contributed to their survival.
Great Wall is a symbol of China, yeah? I think each one knows this place. Okay, now speaking of the Great Wall can be traced to the 7th century BC. At that time, China was divided into 7 kingdoms, same to Europe. Okay, in order to defend the enemy from neighbors, all the kingdoms built a long wall around their frontiers. These walls were today's Great Wall's base.
This inscription says, "You are not a hero if you have not been to the wall." For people from different parts of the world, visiting this place means the same thing.
It's quite big and steep, and there are a lot of people.
Oh, it's amazing. I like this place and I wanted to visit, and I'm here and I'm glad.
The people here, it's amazing, the culture, and also the food is wonderful. All the people, it's so kind. Then it's a really good experience, and being here is amazing. I think it's one of the most wonderful places I have ever seen in my life.
Before getting to the wall, every visitor, children and adults alike, share in the same experience of walking up the hill, even before the cable car now intervenes. Mao Zedong is known as the father of modern China. This statue stands in the middle of the Orange Island in Changsha district of Hunan province. Built in 2 years between 2007 and 2009, the monument is 32 meters tall and 41 meters wide, signifying the number of years the man popularly referred to as Chairman Mao led the Chinese Communist Party. All the way from the entrance, hundreds of people are conveyed in sightseeing vehicles and a lot more walking on foot to share in the memory of the man whose dream triggered the birth of what China has become.
That's the statue of Chairman Mao, Comrade Mao Zedong. And this statue, it's made of maple stone. And that when he was 32 years old. So the way he's looking at is the eastern way. That's where the sun rises. And also, that's where his university located. It's also on that way.
In almost every part of China, there is a preserved pointer to the country's journey towards the superpower it has become. A lesson for the present, which is that behind the glory and glamour of today are hard work and determination of yesterday.
Cross-border trade between Kenya and Tanzania at Lunga Lunga one-stop border post will increase after connection with the port of Mombasa was opened after completion of Dongo Kundu bypass. The completion and opening of the $307,106 infrastructure this week within Mombasa Port Road network will enable movement of goods to the second busiest border between Kenya and Tanzania after Namanga without using the Likoni ferry. The project will later connect with the 460-kilometer East African Coastal Corridor Development Project between Malinda and Bagamoyo, which is being funded by the African Development Bank and a grant from the European Union. According to latest data from the two trading countries at the border, Tanzania exports majorly agricultural products through the border, whereas Kenya exports manufacturing goods and raw materials. In sport, Team USA top medals table as 2024 Paris Olympics ends today. Meanwhile, Minister for Sport Development John Eno tenders apology to Nigerians over poor outing. To talk about this, I'm joined by Favor Itwa for details.
In sport, the Minister of Sports Development, John Eno, has apologized to Nigerians over the poor performance of the nation's athletes at the Paris 2024 Olympics, which ended today. Eno on Sunday said Nigeria's performance should have been better than the poor outing recorded. The minister stated that upon assuming office, he was met with the task of executing 4 international competitions, namely the AFCON, the African Games, the Olympics, and the Paralympic Games, and needed sufficient time to prepare. He further added that he had put the necessary measures in place to support the athletes and the coaches, adding that President Bola Tinubu had approved the funds needed to ensure a hitch-free outing. The minister noted that despite all the efforts made, the Nigerian team underperformed, stressing that he owed Nigerians an explanation. He said that lessons had been learned and urged the citizens to turn the disastrous outcome of the 2024 Olympics into opportunities to strengthen the nation's sport. And now to football. Ghana Football Association President Kurt Okraku has pledged to implement video-assisted referee technology to enhance refereeing in the domestic leagues. While VAR is widely used in over 100 countries, it is predominantly found in developed nations and high-revenue competitions. However, in 2023, FIFA President Gianni Infantino mentioned the possibility of a more affordable version tailored for developing countries like Ghana, and Okraku seems committed to this approach. Okraku emphasized the association's determination to introduce VAR in the Ghana Premier League to address doubts and inconsistencies in officiating. Ghana first utilized VAR during the 2022 World Cup qualifier against Nigeria at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, where a penalty decision was reversed with the help of VAR. And now to athletics, the Netherlands' Sifan Hassan won gold in women's marathon in a sprint finish to claim her 3rd medal of the Paris Olympics. A 31-year-old accelerated in the final 200 meters to cross the line in an Olympic record 2 hours, 22 minutes, 55 seconds, 3 seconds ahead of Ethiopian Tigst Assefa. Hassan's victory came only 2 days after she won bronze in the 10,000 meter and 6 days after 5,000 meter bronze. Kenya's Ellen Obiri finished 3rd, 12 seconds behind Assefa. Hassan won 5,000 meter and 10,000 meter gold and 1,500 meter bronze at Tokyo 2020. And now to basketball. The United States women's team earned a thrilling victory over host France to win the final gold on offer in Paris. The fearsome U.S. team were in danger of one of the all-time Olympic upsets, but won 67-66 to take gold for a record-breaking 8 games in a row, meaning the U.S. moved level with China tally of 40 goals in the medals table. In a repeat matchup of Saturday's men's final that was won by the star-studded U.S. at France's expense, Team USA trailed 53-51 with 5 minutes to play. The occasion provided one last taste of the atmosphere of a wide home support in the French capital. LeBron James, the NBA superstar and men's gold medalist for the U.S., was courtside while French President Emmanuel Macron was in the stands in support of the host. The US edged back in front and a dramatic finale with the lead at 67-64. Gabby Williams sank a buzzer beater for France, but it was judged to have come from inches inside the three-point line, and that meant the US won by a point. The Americans were jubilant at the finish, having won the title for a 10th time, and the French were crestfallen, but the crushed atmosphere soon turned to cheers of support. And to wrap up sports update, the United States topped the medals table at the Paris Olympics with 40 golds after the final title was decided on Sunday, finishing above China only by virtue of their 44 silvers. China, who were the last team apart from the US to top the standings when they did it on home soil at the 2008 Beijing Games, also won 40 golds but managed only 27 silvers. The US women's basketball team secured their country's preeminence by edging host nation France in a breathless finish to win the final gold of the Games. The US also won most total medals with 126 to China's 91. France won 16 gold to finish 5th on the table, and their total tally of 64 medals was their best for more than a century. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. I'm Favor Itwa.
And that's all on the news, but let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Communities continue to accuse security operatives of killing residents during End Bad Governance protests. Kagame is sworn in as Rwanda's president for 4th term after landslide victory. Finally, Uganda death toll rises to 14 in Kampala landslide. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba. It's bye for now.